Ladies, please. I need to host a YouTube video depicting an ATX chassis. Come on, I'll be back soon. Oh, sorry guys, I was just having a little party with all your mums. Anyway, 500FX case by beQuiet. That's what's on the agenda today. What is it? Is it any good? And why do I still have diarrhea? All questions we will answer today. Colour me surprised because it comes in a cardboard box with foam inserts. How fun. Let's check out the cable management side because just like your mum's bedroom, it's where most of the work is done. The panel comes off with the two rear screws. The panel is padded, presumably for noise reduction. In the bottom left is the box with all your screws, fittings, etc. Also here is the drive caddy, which can hold two 3.5-inch hard drives. It's held in by a slide-in tab on the bottom and two thumb screws here. The tabs have a front and rear position. If you want to mount a 360mm radiator in the front, it will need to go to the rear position, or if it were me, I'd just take the whole drive cage out entirely. Once you've taken the cage out, you just slide your hard drive in and secure using the provided screws, or leave the cage out entirely like we said, whatever fries your eggs. On the left side, you can remove this plate via the top thumb screw. You can mount two 2.5-inch SSDs here if you like, otherwise there's no real reason to remove it. Even if you're mounting drives, you can probably mount them without removing the plate anyway. Over to the right now, and there is an additional 2.5-inch SSD mounting position. This is on a floating plate, fastened by a thumb screw to the left, which means that you can still install an SSD here, even if your motherboard is already in place. You'll also notice the enormous fan hub here, which controls your 4 pre-installed fans for both ARGB and PWM control. There are 2 additional free positions, so you can hook up more fans as needed. It is powered by a SATA plug, the fan speed terminates in a single PWM cable to hook up to your motherboard, and the RGB terminates in a standard 3-pin 5V ARGB plug which you can connect to your motherboard. For cable management, I am glad to see beQuiet have stuck with standard tie-down loops here. That means it's nice and easy to keep your cables neat and it's not over-engineered. Front panel next, and we'll keep it quick. Nice mesh front and a paired RGB strip that runs down the middle for extra bling. The front can be pulled off, but it's pretty stiff. As for the presentation side, we note the 2.5-inch SSD mounts on the right that we spoke about earlier. For the motherboards, the 500FX supports ATX, micro ATX and ITX boards with pre-installed standoffs for ATX size boards. So that means, guys, if you're going to go for an MATX board in this case, you're going to need to rearrange some of those standoffs. We mentioned fans earlier, and here they are, 4 pre-installed beQuiet Lightwings 2 fans. These are much nicer than bog standard fans, so you'll be in for an airflow treat. In the top, you can fit a 240mm radiator comfortably, or up to a 360mm radiator in the front of the case. The front I/O contains a USB-C, USB 3, separate headphone and mic jacks, and an RGB color changing button. If you've hooked the RGB up to your motherboard, you don't need this button, but it's handy for those with older motherboards. If when building this, you've hooked your RGB up to the motherboard but can't control the lights using your motherboard software, you might need to hold the button down in order to switch it to motherboard control mode. It kind of depends on your motherboard. And for those on older boards, you just got to be careful. You might not be able to use the USB-C if your board doesn't have the right connector, because it's kind of a new thing, this USB-C internal connector. And the price for all this, for all the 500FX has to offer, it's about £145. That is not cheap at all. I mean, I get them for about 125, 130 at distributor level. Even then, pretty high, especially seeing the great value you can get on other cases nowadays. We review quite a lot of them on the channel. The case is well designed, it's got good build quality. This plus the 4 Lightwings fans, which can go for about 75 quid per pack, that's what constitutes the cost. I think the price is a bit strange. I'm of the opinion that expensive case fans aren't really worth it unless you're building a high-end system all round. And in those high-end systems, I'd be wanting a 360mm liquid cooler, but in this case, you can only drop that in at the front, which is going to raise your video card temperatures. I think it's all just a bit disjointed in terms of market position. If they allowed 360mm liquid coolers in the top, I'd be on board. If they used lower-end fans to reduce the cost, I'd be on board. I just feel like at the moment we've got 1 foot either side of the fence. But, ladies and gentlemen, you can't review a case without building in it first. So let's do just that. We'll show you all the parts, don't you worry. It's our last RTX 3070 build, seeing as the 4070 is about to be released, or it might already have been depending on when this video comes out. And we're using the beQuiet FX liquid cooler for a nice unified system. With that said, and that done, it's time to build and get it done. This case is a mood, and that mood is chill. This PC, there's just something about it. Very aesthetic, all fits together just right. The beQuiet gear all tied together masterfully. It's, well, there's nothing else for it. Star eyes emoji face, cool guy sunglasses emoji face, heart eyes emoji face. Oh yeah! Building inside the 500FX was like a night on the town with your mum. Quick, easy, and satisfying. Cannot have any complaints in that regard. It's a bit pricey, and that's its main drawback. I would have liked a 360mm radiator support in the top, like we said earlier. That would cement this as a top-flight premium case in my book. But like I said earlier, it's in purgatory. Too expensive for budget systems, but no 360mm top cooler support for high-end systems. However, looks absolutely beautiful, and it is very well made. You get nice fans included. I think it should be £30 or so cheaper, and that's going to put it in the realm of sort of Corsair 4000X ballpark, more acceptable price. But what do you think? Tell me below. But we're not done yet. Oh, don't go anywhere, guys. Let's check out the temperature and gaming tests right now. So now that you've seen it all, What do you think? Like the look? What do you think of this case costing £145? Get your thoughts in the comments below. And we, as in my company, PC36, are selling this exact PC right now in the UK. Or you can buy the full build guide for a nice low price so you can do it yourself. Or if you don't care about any of that, that's fine. Whatever, mate. You're just here for the videos, that's fine. Just hit subscribe and be on with your day. Later.